On November 4th last year, Canon Rumors reported that Sigma will be addressing the RF mount in 2022. Now, it's safe to say that we're still pretty early into the year, but that doesn't stop anyone from having a little fun and predicting which lenses might actually be available for us, the art shooters. So good to be seen, and it's even better to see what's going on. I hope you're doing well and staying safe, COVID-free, of course. In case we're meeting for the first time, my name is Francis, and I'm both an animal rights activist as well as a photographer and videographer based out of sunny San Juan, Puerto Rico. So if either of those topics interest you, then stick around because I'd love to have you. But before we get into it, full disclosure, I am a Sigma fanboy. I have been ever since I picked up a camera because I wholeheartedly believe they make the best bang for your buck lenses out there. So unless you're a pixel peeper that's chronic, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between a Canon, a Sony, or even a Nikon. That's just me. That's just my honest opinion. Feel free to murder me in the comments. I will say this though. My dream is to be a Sigma ambassador. So Sigma, if you're watching. Having said that, let's dive into the rumor that Sigma themselves spread when they said there would be 3 to 5 lenses coming out this year.
Nice.
Now, before we get all starry-eyed, I don't think we should hold our breath for too long because the pandemic continues to cripple supply chains everywhere. But if Canon can come up with an R5C, Nikon with a Z9, and Sony with an A7 IV, then it's safe to say there is hope for Sigma lovers as well. Since I'm all about positivity, let's assume that they do come out with the best case scenario of 5 lenses, and my predictions is as follows. Prediction number 1 is an RF 24-70 f2.8 DG/HSM. This is by far the safest and most popular prediction, seeing as how it's a staple zoom lens in many photographers' bag. A 24-70 focal range is stereotypically the most versatile of them all because it encompasses the most options for photography, from food and product to portraits and landscapes. It would be in the best interest of Sigma to compete with the current RF version from Canon, seeing as how it's so expensive, coming in at $23.99. Assuming their version also has a 2.8 aperture, image stabilization, and weather sealing, I predict it's going to be retailing for $15.99. Prediction number 2 is an RF 14-24 f2.8 DG/HSM. If this comes true, landscape and architectural photographers are going to rejoice. The one thing I'm hoping is that if they do substitute their current EF version, the front element doesn't extend outward, causing front filters from being excluded. If they can manage to equal Canon's RF version of a flat front element along with the aforementioned weather sealing, stabilization at an f2.8 aperture, then brace yourself because the lens is going to sell like hotcakes. When you ask me about price point, I think they're coming in at $15.99 as well. Prediction number 3 is an RF 70-200 f2.8 DG/HSM. Admittedly, this is the one for which I'm crossing my fingers the most, and I'm anxious to see if it comes true because I just sold my EF version to the highest bidder and I regret it immediately. One thing I'm looking out for, aside from the obvious perks I've already mentioned, is that the size becomes a bit smaller and the weight decreases as well. Sigma has a reputation to build tanks, and build quality is often accompanied by a hefty weight. If Sigma can shrink the ergonomics of their RF 70-200, then I'll tell you what, watch out Canon, because portrait and wildlife photographers considering you are going to think twice about shelling out $27.99. I'm guessing Sigma is countering in the $15 to $99 range as well. As you can probably tell, I'm one to believe that Sigma is highly incentivized to come out with the Trinity because of its popularity with the most widely used focal ranges in photography. Now, this being said, I think that if they do come out with 2 more lenses, they will undoubtedly be primes. And as far as I'm concerned, those are going to be prediction number 4, an RF 35mm f1.4 DG/HSM. 35 millimeters is one of the most popular focal lengths for prime shooters and beloved by all. I've yet to find a fellow photographer who doesn't own at least one variation of a 35. It's great for creative portraits, lifestyle, and street photography. More importantly, 35 millimeters is the closest thing to what your eyes actually see and are able to appreciate, hence its popularity. I'd be hard pressed to say that Sigma won't come out with a 35 millimeter as one of its first primes. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that although it probably won't be stabilized, it will have weather sealing and compete nicely with those first party manufacturers. I'm gonna be bold about this one and say they're pricing it around $899. Finally, prediction number 5 is an 85 millimeter f1.4 DG HSM. I was on the fence on this one while thinking 50 millimeters f1.4 is a viable option as well. The reason why I lean more towards the 85 prediction is because Canon already has 2 versions of theirs. Viltrox and Yongnuo also have some out, and it's time for Sigma to step up to the plate and compete in that range. 85 millimeters is my preferred focal range for portraits as it encapsulates the best capture of my subjects. I can't imagine Sigma will be stabilizing this lens, but would be a welcome bonus if they can actually pull this one off. I do expect it to have weather sealing and hit the market at around $1299. Another thing worth mentioning, I'm a huge fan of the control ring addition to Canon's RF lenses. If Sigma can find a way to replicate it and integrate it into their lineup, then it's going to be a bad year for Canon lens sales. I will tell you that much. Like I said in the beginning, you'd be hard pressed not to give Sigma a long, hard look when they do come out with RF mount glass, as I believe they provide the best bang for your buck. By the way, this right here is my Sigma 24mm f1.4, my favorite lens of all time. If you want to check out the review on it, I'll make it my end card for today. So there you have it. Those are my predictions for the Sigma RF roadmap in 2022. Do you think I nailed it? Am I completely off? Let me know if you agree or disagree and what your predictions are in the comments below. If you're new to the channel and love this stuff just as much as I do, then stick around by subscribing. I wouldn't want you to miss anything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.